What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the big thing. Now, look, you know what's funny about this? You guys clicked on this video because you saw what the main title was. I don't even know what the main title is right now. I don't even know what the story is. All I know is I got Jeff Sneider here. This guy has been on almost every, if you watch Capes and Cowls, if you watch a lot of the stuff that we talk about, most of the stories today are Jeff Sneider says, it's everywhere. This guy's all on his own. He's not supported by any of the big trades. He's breaking stories before everybody else, and they hate him for it. But we don't. We love him for it. And he's coming over here today, and he's going to be breaking a story. You guys know what it is because you saw the headline and the thumbnail. I don't know what it is. But we're going to have a genuine, that's a word, reaction to that story whenever we find out what the hell it is. We're also going to talk about Jeff's newsletter. He's got a newsletter, and I'm also going to break his chops. So why hasn't this guy started a YouTube channel? Why? Makes no sense. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Oscars. Talk about those snubs that everyone's talking about. And then there's other stories. There's a story about this Halle Berry movie that apparently is shot for Netflix. Ain't happening. You know who broke that story? Jeff Sneider. Talk to him about that also. There's other things to talk about, but we need you to do something first. Hit that button. You wandered over here because you saw somebody tweet it out after Jeff broke this story on our show. You're like, let me see this. Well, hit that button. Well, I don't know who you are. Now you do. Nice to meet you. Hit the button. Trying to get to 200,000 faster than 100. See, that worked for them. Hopefully it worked for you. Hit that button. Let's get to 200,000. We're at 120,000 already, guys. So, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. You can find us on Patreon, all that stuff. It's a blast over here. Let's do it. We're going to have a show. It's myself. Yes, Steph Sabra is here. What do you think? I'm a moron? That and more. And you just answered yes. I heard you. Okay, thank you. Let's get to it. Here's the show. I'm ready. What's up, everybody? You can feel the excitement in the air. It is Wednesday, and I am with Steph Sabra.
Hello.
You're excited, too.
Yeah, I am. I have coffee, but I'm ready to sip the tea.
You said to me today, as you were pulling up to the house, you said, do you know what it is? I said, I have no idea.
No,
I
want to know.
We have no idea what it is. All right. And what we're talking about, of course, is Scoops. Well, I can't call him McGee. I think that's copyrighted. But I'll say Sneider Scoops himself, Jeff Sneider. Jeff Sneider!
Hello, Kristian, and to Steph. This outfit makes me want to say top of the morning to you.
I know.
Top of the morning to you.
Steph's prepared for everything, Jeff.
Yeah.
You got to understand that. But I don't know if we're prepared for this. This is good stuff. You told me, you and I have been talking for a little bit. You came in here to the office. We sat down. We broke bread, if you will. And we talked about just what you're doing in general. And that's, you're out on your own. You were working for an outlet. Didn't go great.
It was going great,
and then it didn't. But you do a great show with John Roca, the Hot Mic.
Thank you.
Love that show.
Do I sound okay?
Yeah. Are you not getting enough volume?
I feel like I sound reedy, but I don't know.
No.
You sound good.
All
you
right.
sound good.
Sound wonderful.
You sound wonderful.
It's just my voice. I never have the headphones on the podcast, so maybe I just don't know how I sound.
It's
Well, you sound
alarming
good.
hearing yourself talk.
But you sound good.
Thank you.
And everyone's been covering you. And look, this was something when we started doing Meet the Movie Press together back in the day. I said, you got to break Scoops on the air. You got to break them on the air. And at the time, you were working for a trade. You couldn't do it. But now you're doing it all the damn time. You do it on the Hot Mic. You get a lot of notice there. How do you like being on your own?
It is terrifying.
Yeah.
But I like the freedom. I miss being part of a team. I miss being part of a newsroom.
Right.
And just hearing all the phones ring and asking, hey, what'd you watch last night? Who are you going to lunch with? All that kind of stuff. And I wish that I could be part of a newsroom. Apparently, I'm not welcome in any of the newsrooms in Los Angeles because everybody's terrified of me.
Why are they terrified?
I mean, I'm a great coworker. I'm still friendly with people who I work with at Variety and The Wrap and Collider and all these places. But yeah, there's just this perception of me where it's like, they don't want me in a newsroom.
If people don't know you, and you and I did not start off as friends. We started off as the opposite.
Sure.
Enemies?
Not on purpose. At the time, I was doing we had a website, Schmoes Know. We broke a bunch of stories. He was at a trade.
I was at Variety, yeah. And Kroll and I would be like, who are these fucking schmoes?
They hated us because they thought we were in some basement in like Cincinnati or something. Like, like how are these guys getting these scoops? And he just started blasting us on Twitter. And I was like, this guy. And then I said, let me go find out who this guy is. And he was a mutual friend of my friend Toby. And Toby, I said, send a Facebook message to this guy. and tell him that we need to sit down. And we had pizza together. And that was it. And then we became friends. But people I can see, when it comes to Twitter still, I want to break your hands. Like,
I get it.
it's like your it's like put the phone down. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, but because you break so many great scoops and so many things, and then you'll tweet something. I'm like, what are you doing? So do you think that has something to do with the trades? Also, they're worried about what you're going to say.
Yes, they're worried about what I'm going to tweet, and I've always said, like, listen, if you don't if you want to control my Twitter, buy the Twitter off me, or tell me I can't have it. That's the thing. Every outlet still wants you to have the presence on social media. Right. Well, it's like, okay, if I'm going to have the presence, I got to be me.
Sure.
Okay. I'm not going to like modulate myself to fit your social media regulations. I'm sure that is part of it, that I'm maybe off-putting on Twitter, but it's like, as a reporter, I don't know what happened to like these places want to hire the best reporters. I'm one of the best reporters, and you're hiring inferior people who are just nice and safe and will say the right things.
Well, but here's something that I saw yesterday. I think that this is maybe why I believe, and I've told you this, that I think you're supposed to be where you're at right now, because I saw this thing, and we'll talk about this LA Times thing that happened yesterday, right? Yeah. And I saw somebody tweet something. And I said, I'm just going to start doing YouTube, and I'm going to start doing movie reviews and movie news on YouTube and do that, because it seems being independent is the safest way to go, right? When it comes to, maybe not with it, but you've
safe in some respects,
if
sure.
You build up a following, obviously, and that ain't easy to do.
Right.
Right. And so, but the difference, what I told you is, and people, and I've seen this, and I sent you the screenshot that I saw from somebody who wrote the very same thing. You've got so many of these breaking scoops and so many of these stories that if you made your own YouTube channel and you got this out first, then put your newsletter out like you're going to do today. Your newsletter is going to be out first. And if you subscribe to the newsletter, by the way, which I'll link in the description of this video, you will get these scoops first, and then they break then the story's going to break on our show like 15 minutes later. But you'll get it on Just Stuff, and you get all the news. But if you're doing it like also on your YouTube channel, you're getting those things out, and you're getting those because everybody's going to cover your stories anyway.
Now, listen, I get it, and I know obviously we're in, Kristian has a beautiful place here, and YouTube has been good to you, and that's what you're good at. Like, you're great at this. You're natural. And maybe I'm good at it too, and maybe I would be really good at it, and I do plan to start something. But the truth is, I'm a writer. Right. That's my gift.
Sure.
And that's what I know how to do. So this stuff where you're working the board and camera angles and worrying about sound and all this, it's like I don't want to have to worry about it.
Most people don't do this. I've gotten so I was terrible at it, by the way, when I started. It's just now I'm just so comfortable with it. I don't even know if I could bring in a switcher or someone else too if I'd be comfortable with it, because I'm like I have a method to my madness.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think that's the next step for me. But what I really wanted to do was get this newsletter, like find a voice, find a format that kind of works for me. Now I'm probably putting too much work into the newsletter and spending too much time on it because it's just too long.
How's it doing?
It's doing very well.
Oh, good.
I mean,
that's great.
That's the thing. I've only started charging since the top of January. And it's been going great.
Great.
That's great.
The question is whether it will, keep going great. I still, so I'm probably like a quarter of my way to an annual goal, but for 3 weeks, that's pretty good.
And what you need to do is, I think, exactly what you're doing here today. I think you need to be on more shows.
Yes.
I think you need to break more scoops on shows, because you'll get people, and you'll get the word out that you have this, because I know him. He's not lying. If his newsletter was doing terrible, when I asked him that question, he would have been like, terrible. I don't know why I'm doing this.
I've almost like been surprised at kind of how well it's doing. And it's, it's a lot of friends and family, and I get that kind of stuff. For me, the next part is to send it to the town, because I have not even done that outreach to like agents and the people who I talk to and deal with, or who I'm calling scoops about. Yeah, they'll hear about it. What outlet is this for? It's actually not for an outlet. It's for a newsletter. But I need to do those kind of mass emails, because I do think that people are enjoying it. And I'm hearing from big people in town, producers and agents, being like, this is great. This is what we're missing.
Because they're covering you everywhere. Everywhere. I'm not even joking. Like when we do Capes and Cowls, or we do these other things, and it's not just the geek stuff, it's a lot of these things. We're going to cover one of these stories in a second. But like a lot of times, like Jeff Sneider says, Jeff Sneider did this, and it's got to be pissing off the trades.
I think it's definitely frustrating for them. I have been a little bit better behaved because I don't want to lose these relationships with the studios, so I have been holding stuff or agreeing to share more stuff. But it's also like, you guys got to work with me here, because I don't have a boss who you can call, and you can't punish me because you don't take ads out right now, right? So there's nothing that you can do to me except pull some invites to January screenings.
Right.
When I wish you had. So it's like, guys, understand the model here. I need to break exclusive stories. So doing an even break with the trades where I go out to my however many, subscriber list and the trades go out to millions of people, my story just gets lost in the shuffle there.
Right.
So I'd rather just say, you know what? If I'm sharing something with the Hollywood Reporter, just give it to the Hollywood Reporter.
Sure.
And the next time I run into the Hollywood Reporter, they better give it to me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But that's comes from your experience of working in these trades. You know how to play the game.
Yes, and obviously I'm friendly with Justin. At Deadline, I'm friendly with Boris at Hollywood Reporter. There has to be a sort of, there needs to be a little bit of a camaraderie ship. And I will say, like, I'm holding something huge with Boris. I wish I could break it on the show today, but Boris was so good to me.
Right. You don't want to step on his toes.
He's been great to me these last few months, just in terms of like giving me career advice and support and that kind of stuff. Like, what am I going to do? Screw him over?
Right.
No.
Right.
And he's, so I do want to, work with my colleagues, but at the same time, you guys got to understand, you all make six-figure salaries.
Right.
I made six figures one time in the last 20 years.
Right.
And you all get benefits. And I have basically not been paid like money since the last summer, basically, because that's when Patrick, the strike happened and my old boss stopped paying. So,
well, let me ask you a question.
I gotta make money.
So I've known you now for it's a good 10 years, and I can tell when you're really excited about something, even though obviously this is something that, as you said, it's scary. It seems like you're pretty excited. It seems like you're like, this is the most like kind of, you're not like kicking your feet. Oh, I gotta freaking call somebody today. You seem like you're on the hunt.
I mean, I think when things are going well and then people are calling you and people are reading you, like, it has been a good 3 weeks. And so I have felt like I'm more a part of the community. I mean, I felt very disconnected and just, like nobody cares. Nobody, I couldn't even get the trades covered my boss ripping off his last staff in 2016. But when he rips me off, didn't care.
Yeah.
It's really shocking, some of the behavior that I've seen from my trade colleagues, and that's why I beat them up and I'm down on them. I also give them credit. But I'm telling you, they all work together now. I mean, when I was a trade reporter, we were at each other's throats. It was the Wild West, and it was Deadline and Variety and Hollywood Reporter like scrapping with each other.
Sure.
Now they're all part of the same company, and this company, and I like Jay Penske personally. But his HR department must have a note in my file because I can't even get interviews. And that's the most shocking thing, really. But just about the entertainment landscape is who is in charge of the hiring? It's a bunch of older editors who don't know the landscape. And like, I can't put scoops in my resume.
Well, let me tell you something. Before
you know what I mean?
You go into that, too. I considered, because I was working, for Skybound, and I had a nice salary, and I was VP of development and doing all that stuff over there, too. And then I left. And I considered getting another gig. So I started applying places. I have a pretty good resume, from working at Collider, from working at Fandango, for working at Skybound, for whatever it was. I couldn't get a phone call back from a lot of these places. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just doing my own thing. And it's liberating. It's liberating, and it's like you have a chance to, because you can build your own thing, and you have an opportunity to build your own thing. You just got to get out of your own way when it comes to like the technology part of it and like those things.
I'm afraid to learn that.
You're afraid to learn it, and it's like even when I was going through it with him, like here I was like, yeah, well, you do this. He's like, I want to have somebody do that for me, and I was like, and I get it because not like
I just want to push a button and start talking,
record, and then that's
it. You should get an intern.
I should.
Are you an LLC? You have to be, right?
I'm not.
Okay. That's a tech thing you need.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question though, because you said that you go into the offices now, and a lot of people have this fear of you. Do you mind that? Like, or would you rather be loved, or are you kind of love
I think
it?
Everybody wants to be loved. It's certain people. I want to be feared a little by the town. I think having a little bit of fear behind you, if I don't answer this guy's call or return this guy's call, it's going to be online before I have a chance to comment. So I do want that, but I don't want publications to be afraid of me. Like, I was a nice Jewish boy intern at Variety, and I got to know all these reporters who have gone everywhere. Pam McClintock went to Hollywood Reporter, and Steve Zaitchik went to Washington Post. And it's just like, I know all these people, And I think that they respect my work, but they're also like, this kid's a hothead or whatever. Or he bites the hand that feeds him, and he's too honest about Hollywood. And I guess that is something I had to figure out in my career, is realizing that the studios are your advertisers. And yeah, you know, it's journalism, but it's also like, this isn't, you know, politics. Like,
100%. Yeah, right. And you seem, and I will say, your Twitter has been better lately.
I've made a real effort over the last few years, but every now and then I regress, right? Because I do see red. I have a temper, and you know, something like the Patrick thing happens, and it's like, okay, man, like take 16 grand out of my pocket.
That's a different thing.
That's money is a little different.
I don't post like agents' emails, and I'm not calling out publicists when I lose. I've learned how to lose with a little bit more dignity.
Yeah, but I was talking more so like the same thing, like hot takes on certain things. Like where if it's not, I'm gonna give you the same advice that I gave Roca, that I give everybody that no one listens to me about, and that's post and run. Post and run. Post your thing that you want.
I know.
Post and run. Don't give your opinions on certain things. Like, you know, who cares? Because certain things, don't say that. Say that. Because I'm telling you, for you, it's, hey, guess what? Look at Justin. Incoming. 2 seconds later, he gives a football opinion. He's out. Right? I mean, like,
sure.
So I'm saying, with what you're doing right now, if you're crushing it right now, you are absolutely crushing it. If you post and run, I think you're going to see everything else skyrocket.
Making sure my fucking tooth's still there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, listen. There's no I mean, yes, Kroll avoids all the social media skirmishes and everything like that, and God bless him. I wish
no good in it. There's no good in it.
You're absolutely right, but at the same time, it's like I do have the social media following that I have. I mean, you know, him and Boris break more news than I do, but if you put their Twitter accounts together, I think mine's still bigger or whatever. And I don't. Who cares about Twitter following numbers? It doesn't, you know, equate to real world dollars. I'd much rather.
You're also a 3-time movie trivia schmoedown team champion.
That is true. I'd much rather be in like Kroll or Boris's position, where you're under contract at PMC and getting benefits and getting a healthy salary. But like that is not my reality, and so I had to do something. It's like, because I don't know what else I can do. Right. I like filled out the Uber driver application, and I was just like, "Shit, dude,
that's not it.
I can't do that."
Nothing against that. I was just, it's not for you. That's
an Uber driver is my consigliere. Let me be very clear about that.
Sure. I'm sure. No. I understand what you're saying. When I say that's not you, it's just I just think that you've got something here.
I'm right. I'm talented, and it's crazy that I can't catch on anywhere because I'm a good guy and a good team player.
I'm telling you,
and I've run 2 teams, and my staff liked me.
Take that away. I'm telling you. You don't need it.
I know.
Right. You've been forced out, I think, to do what you're supposed to do.
So let's make the most of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
All right. So that being said, the newsletter is in the description. Go and check it out.
TheInsnider.com.
Okay. Is that easy?
It's that easy.
All right.
TheInsnider.com.
Good job on that.
As you saw, I put up the title there right now, too. I'll put a link in the description as well. I'll throw all of that because we're going to get to that scoop in just a second. I'll do this first, and then we'll talk about the Oscars. What I'm very excited about, and I've talked to you guys about it, it's Trade Coffee. I love Trade Coffee. I've been so many different times I've been using Trade, and you love Trade also.
Yes, very good.
They have, Steph, I've been, this like a darker roast that I really like right now. And it just, the way that the place smells afterwards too, and Sadie, my wife, made me get this, a coffee pot instead of just cutting open the little pods and pouring coffee in it. She's like, come on, you idiot, just get a pot. And the whole place smells so good.
Yes.
I love it. It's a subscription service. You be a coffee drinker?
No, but I've heard good stuff about that brand.
Trade is fantastic. It's a subscription service, which is the best. And it gets here so fast. I love it. Drinktrade.com/bigthing. That's it. Drinktrade.com/bigthing. You're gonna get a discount. You're gonna love it. You're gonna thank me for it. And they have so many different brands. They have so many different, like this Brazilian brand that I like. They have so many different, like, kind of exotic brands, but they have every flavor that you like, and it's the best. So go to drinktrade.com/bigthing. It helps out the show tremendously. So when you do it, let me know that you did it, and we want them back. All right.
A friend really likes that stuff.
It's awesome. I love Trade Coffee. All right. First things I want to talk about is this. Let's talk about the Oscars. We don't have to get into all the nominations and all that stuff. I really want to start with the big old controversy. The big controversy, we're going to start with the fact that both Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie did not get nominated for Barbie. I'm going to give you my take real quick on this. Greta Gerwig should have been nominated. She should have been nominated. I think that at all the people, when I was looking through, I was going through the list of the directors. I was like, and I also say, I'm not a massive fan of Barbie. but I was a massive fan of how that film was directed. And it was directed brilliantly of what she was able to do with that IP in general and the way that she moved things around from the shots in general. I really do think that, to me, is the definition of a snub, but I understand how snubs happen. It's math. It's like, so, we don't know. It could have been by 1 vote. Could have been by 2 votes. But I was shocked. I looked at other directors and I go, hey, maybe could have replaced that person there. Now the opposite comes to me for Best Actress. There's no one on that list that I would take off. If there's 5 on there, Margot Robbie was 6 to me. She was 6. There was no one on that list that I would have taken out over her. I thought she was great in the film, but people were. I was talking to Coy, and he's like, maybe. What's the actress's name?
Annette Bening?
No. Annette Bening was great in Nyad from Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh, Sandra Hüller.
Sandra Hüller was one of the best performances I've seen in a very long time. That performance was someone I was like, whoa. If it wasn't for Carey Mulligan and Emma Stone, she could win for sure. So I get it. But let me ask you, Steph, where do you stand on the? Do you think it's a controversy, or you think like,
Yeah, I think it's definitely a controversy, but I think it plays into the age-old discussion on when you're talking about Marvel movies that have broken the box office record, and we're like, should they be nominated for Best Picture because of popularity? And I've always fallen on the side of yes, because I do think popularity plays into how it is a social movement, and that matters in terms of a movie. That does equate to some sort of goodness or brilliance in whatever terms you want to describe a movie. So and Barbie is Margot Robbie. And so to me, obviously, the movie really affected me. Yeah. I loved her performance. She
did get nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
For Best Picture. But I think because of that, it's like you see a movie that gets nominated for Best Picture, and usually they're in every other award.
A lot of times, I mean, sometimes look at Top Gun. That's why I think.
Like a Top Gun, totally.
Yeah, like Top Gun. I think they're doing. I'd like to get your opinion on this, Chef, but I think they are doing those big box office picks. And if you got a chance, you're going to put them in Best Picture because you're going to get more people to tune in. Just hope that maybe Barbie could pull it off, especially now after the controversy. But I don't know. I think that the Gerwig one was more of a surprise to me. Where do you stand on it?
I mean, I was surprised for sure, but I don't think it's a controversy. I mean, what part of it is controversial, right? Is it that the director of the biggest movie of the year always gets nominated and this time they weren't? No.
Right.
The director of the biggest movie of the year rarely gets nominated. Is it that, the director of the most acclaimed movie of the year? It wasn't the most acclaimed movie of the year, So I think that Greta Gerwig was fighting against the perception of Barbie. Barbie as a toy movie, as a movie designed to sell toys, and that's what she was up against. It's not like we don't want a woman in Best Director, because there was a woman nominated for Best Director.
And then a woman won last year, didn't or was that 2 years ago?
Chloe Zhao, that's 2 years ago.
I mean, they've been on a tear. Jane Campion.
Yeah, right.
So it's like I don't think that the Academy is suddenly misogynist. I think this is just a lot of people love this movie, and they were bummed that it didn't get these big nominations that people were expecting, and suddenly the Academy's at fault. That's not, if you're paying attention to the Academy, it's becoming much more international, and that's how they got 2 international directors into the race.
Where was Godzilla -1?
Got nominated for Best Visual Effects.
I know, but I wanted it in Best Picture. And there's 2 movies I haven't seen, so I can't speak to Margot Robbie going up against all of the other actresses nominated. The ones that I have seen are spectacular, wouldn't take them out. And I don't think, for me at least, it's saying that the Academy is misogynistic. I think this is classic. Anytime there's the Oscars, everyone's going to be like, oh, I wish that was nominated. I wish she or he were nominated. This is just, for me, this year, that's what it was.
Of course. Yeah, it makes sense. And look at all and because the Golden Globe stuff and the way that both Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie were honored at the Critics' Choice, it might have been their show. Like Chelsea Handler did a special thing. Did they air that? Did you see it?
No,
they didn't air that.
Didn't air. I don't know.
So
I don't know.
They basically Chelsea Handler. I don't know. Maybe they did air it. She just kind of made up a segment and she honored
brought him up.
Greta Gerwig
That's
and Margot
great.
Robbie.
I love Chelsea.
I mean, both of them were nominated yesterday, so the whole they were snubbed. I mean,
You mean with the movie?
They went to bed last night with Oscar nominees.
Right. I think it was the contrast of Ryan Gosling. And that's where a lot of the conversation came up.
And that's so unfair, though, to him, though, that people are, because he had a great performance.
Oh, totally.
He's against a different pool of competitors.
100%. Because out of everybody, because there's no one in there that I wouldn't take him out because I can't think of another performer. Well, did the kid from May December get nominated?
No,
he did.
Or the kid
No.
from The Holdovers, but Gosling isn't the one
Right.
I would take out.
Who would you take out in that area?
I mean, Ruffalo was to me the last guy in.
He loved Ruffalo.
You're crazy. I don't even want your scoop anymore.
I do love
Get
Ruffalo.
out of
but-
here.
Oh, you're crazy. I love that.
Yeah, his performance was amazing. He had my favorite quote of the year, I think. When I
Did you
found
wind up
out the
watching it?
patriarchy wasn't about horses,
you're
I was
right.
over it.
Okay. Yeah.
But the thing about Margot, again, when everyone's like, well, the Academy and Hollywood missed the point of Barbie. Actually, they didn't. They got the point, and they got it 2 years ago when they greenlit the movies, that are in the race now. And that is why Margot didn't get in, because suddenly there's all these great roles written for women. And that's why she didn't get in, because there were so many.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I'm curious what you guys
There is
think.
an irony in it.
Yeah.
I think there is an irony.
There is, for sure. That
I'm
Gosling
not,
got nominated.
yeah,
For sure, I get it.
I'm not saying it means it's fact. I'm just saying there is an irony
There
in
absolutely
it.
is. There absolutely is. And I think that, and it kind of brings back what you said before about how Barbie was going against the stigma. And I don't need to go through the picture, everything too. There was a story that I read this morning about Oliver Stone. Did you see this?
Yeah.
So Oliver Stone, before the movie came out, he was promoting one of his docs, and he said something along the lines, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he said something like, I don't know what Ryan Gosling's doing, that piece of shit. So
Yeah, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of talent.
It's a waste of time. I don't know why he would be doing something like a Barbie movie. And it kind of fell to the wayside. A lot of people didn't see it. And then because of the nominations, everything to do, it came back up, and he then said, I made those comments before I saw the movie. It was wrong of me to make those comments. I saw the film. I thought what Greta Gerwig did with the movie was incredible, and I apologize for my ignorant comments. I don't know the response that he got afterwards. First of all, I don't think he should have said it in the first place without seeing the movie. It's
Right.
ultimately what he said. But I felt that was the one, because sometimes you see these apologies that people put out sometimes when their publicist goes, you got to make an apology, and it just feels so fake. I was like, good on him. It felt real. It felt like he's like, look, I'm sorry I was so ignorant. It was a stupid comment. I'm sorry I made it. I shouldn't have made it before seeing the movie. Again, shouldn't have made the comment.
Right.
But I like that.
I did
yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I think it's such an easy movie to hate on, which is what I'm seeing in the comments of a lot of these outlets posting about Barbie and whether it got snubbed or not. 75% of them are like, screw Barbie, which
Right.
has been a lot of the masses speaking to it. And I think most of them hadn't seen it.
Right.
A lot of them hadn't seen it, and that's just an easy movie to dunk on.
For sure. But they're laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's an iconic
Yeah.
movie.
I will push back against something you said, though, on Hot Mic, because you don't care about the fantasy movies and those things, too. I love the idea that Greta Gerwig is doing Narnia. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
You hate
Oh,
it.
hopefully she makes it better.
That is wild.
I love it. I think she's going to make it better. And I think
campier.
Oh, I'm sure that she
No,
will make
that's-
it better.
Yeah.
I just think that there's a lot of projects out there
that
that
she could do instead.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand that.
Yeah.
I
that's a
understand that.
pre-Barbie success decision.
Yeah. Was there anything else? Because the one thing about Godzilla -1, though, I was hoping it was going to get nominated for best in foreign film.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know.
They didn't submit it. They didn't
Okay,
submit it.
yeah, and then it didn't get nominated for sound either,
It
right?
got nominated for best visual effects.
Because I thought the sound was incredible in that
It's
movie.
incredible. Did you see Godzilla -1?
Yeah, I liked it.
Loved it.
I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it a
I
lot.
loved it.
Are you going to see it in black and white IMAX?
So someone asked me that the other day, and I said, I am so happy for people who care about that. I don't care. I don't care about.
I missed the IMAX run.
Well, if you can see it in IMAX any way you can,
Right.
you should see it. I'm actually going to see Dune, the first one, in IMAX tonight because I have not seen it
In IMAX?
Yeah, I've not seen it. So
I love that movie.
yeah. Anyway, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else as far as the Oscars go. Were there any big major surprises? Not really. That was the biggest thing. I mean, everyone else pretty much got nominated. There was a
The big surprise was a Barbie thing. It was America
it.
Ferrera getting in.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was a big surprise. And she gets in because she delivered that monologue, right? And if Margot had delivered that monologue as Barbie, Margot gets in. It's as simple as that. That monologue is gold.
Well written, yeah. Did that get nominated for a screenplay? Barbie?
It did.
Yeah.
And I think that Barbie could be rewarded after all this, snub talk and that kind of stuff. Oppenheimer
screenplay.
is the favorite, and American Fiction is in that category as well. But I think Barbie could pull off an upset there.
Who wins Best Picture? Oppenheimer?
I mean, gun to my head, sure, Oppenheimer, that's the heavy favorite, but I still think the Holdovers has a chance.
Yeah.
Really?
I do.
It was a great
especially
movie.
if everyone is assuming, Oppenheimer, that's going to win. Everyone's voting for Oppenheimer. I'm going to vote for something else. If everyone thinks that, if enough people think that.
Yeah. Okay. What do you guys think? Is this a snub? Is it a big snub? Did you think that it was warranted? The backlash and the cries on social media. How do you feel about it? What say you? All right, let's do this. Guys, it's that time. I want to tell you, I am very excited because Jeff and I talked last week, and he's like, look, I want to come in. I'd love to talk about the newsletter. I said, I'd love to have you come talk about the newsletter. And he said, I'll have a story. And he started looking to see this one particular thing. He's like, I don't have it yet, but I should soon. So he called me yesterday, and he said, I got it. I said, you want to talk about it on the show? He said, let's do it. So Jeff, the floor is yours, my man. What do you got?
Okay. So this just hit on my newsletter. You can read the full story, theinsnider.com. Although this may even be the better version. So this is an exclusive, or should I call it an evisol?
What's that?
That is exclusive, spelled backwards, my friend.
Okay.
And that is because the news is that Christopher Nolan
Yes.
and Warner Bros. Are reuniting for a Tenet re-release in support of Dune Part 2.
Okay.
So Tenet will be coming to IMAX premium 70mm theaters, all that stuff, on February 23rd, I believe, which is the week before Dune 2 comes out.
Okay.
Now, on the surface, Christopher Nolan and Warner Bros. Re-releasing Tenet, not a huge story, maybe. But look deeper. Why not? What is this all about? So let me break it down. First and foremost, I'm told this was Christopher Nolan's idea. Why? Because he wants to support his buddy, Denis. So when Dune first came out, Christopher Nolan actually led a DGA Director's Cut podcast with him, and they talked about Dune and everything. So I think that these guys are pretty close, and they really respect what the other one is doing. I mean, who's making movies on a scale like that besides James Cameron, really? Right? So these guys are friends, and Nolan wanted to sort of stump for him. And they thought, Tenet also got screwed. Right, that's why Warner Brothers was also receptive to it, because they're like, okay, we see the benefits in this for Dune 2, and I don't know if they're going to be showing some maybe exclusive Dune 2 footage ahead of, in front of Tenet, so they're sort of hyping up the release of Dune. I don't know what that arrangement is, and I'll talk about that in a second. But for Warner Brothers, it was like this movie got screwed. We released it in the middle of the pandemic. It didn't get put on the IMAX 70mm screens and all that kind of stuff. We feel like we left money on the table. So, there's a financial incentive for them as well. But obviously, and this is, the part that they don't really want me talking about, but it's like they're doing this to get back in with Chris Nolan and setting him up for a return. I mean, this is...
How likely is that?
This is how it starts. I think it's pretty likely, and I think that a move like this makes it even more likely, okay? Because it's one thing to cut Oppenheimer and do the post-production on the Warner Brothers lot, right? You're still making a movie for another studio. With this one, it's like, okay, Jason Kyler and that regime kind of, botched this. Let's, see what David Zaslav's all about. And so I just think that the door is now open in at least a few more inches than it was this morning.
But Universal's not going to let him go. What kind of contract does he have?
Oh, it's a one-off. It's a one-off. So Christopher Nolan, I'll be clear, is a free agent right now.
He is. So he doesn't have a contract with Universal.
No.
Okay.
Every studio wants to be in business with Christopher Nolan, and Christopher Nolan has not decided what his next movie is going to be or where he's going to make it.
Okay.
But
so this is the pitch. This is the pitch for them. Warner Brothers.
Exactly. It's come back. We're going to put your movie back in IMAX 70mm. The way the movie was meant to be seen, right? Because that's what Chris Nolan's all about. And so I think that this is a good first step, in resuscitating that relationship. Yeah. So I thought that was big enough to bust it out here on the podcast, because I just think it's going to get people talking. Like, is he coming back?
Well, I already see the headline for us, and it's the exclusive is Christopher Nolan going back to Warner Brothers. I mean, that's the big story, because it seems like that is because I said when you said it, I was like, well, Universal's not going to let him go, and you're like, no, he doesn't have a contract with them. So to me, Steph, that seems like I don't know. They love him at Warner Brothers, and that was probably one of the biggest devastating blows when he left. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think that Christopher Nolan, everyone has been obsessed with him, but I feel like even more so coming off this Oppenheimer run, and so this will be pretty big because I've always been a fan of him, but more than ever, I think now I'm like, what's his next movie? I'm so excited for that.
I mean, so what do you think? So give me your percentage, Jeff, that Christopher Nolan returns to Warner Brothers, and if so, give me your percentage. What do they sign him for a contract? Or do you think they're going to sign him for a one-off?
I don't know. I mean, has he done overall deals before?
I thought he had an overall deal with Warner Brothers in the first place, and I thought that's why.
For the trilogy?
Well, I thought with the trilogy and everything, he was making movies there, and then once his contract was done, he's like, I'm out. I'm going to Universal because I didn't like the way they handled Tenet.
I don't know if that was about a contract expiration.
Okay. I might be wrong. I could be wrong.
You know, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, obviously Donna's going to do everything in her power to hang on to him. And I think that if you're Christopher Nolan, there's two things. This is a studio that got Oppenheimer, a 3-hour biopic about a physicist, to $950 million worldwide. Right. That's impressive.
Oh yeah, it definitely is.
And it also looks like Universal is going to be delivering an Oscar and possibly 2 Oscars to Christopher Nolan that eluded him at Warner Brothers. These are the Oscars Warner Brothers could never deliver him.
So it's also got to be like a superstition thing for him, because if you're sitting there talking to Emma Thomas and you're like, okay, well, they're offering us this deal to come back and do this, but we left and it really did us well. You know, even because Tenet, regardless of the circumstances, probably his least successful movie, right? And I know it had a lot of reasons why.
Right, exactly.
Obviously. But I still don't think quality-wise a movie, like it for audience-wise, they didn't respond to it the way they responded to Oppenheimer. They didn't respond to it the way that they responded to Inception or Interstellar or any of those two. So it doesn't matter who made it, you know, unless, I don't know, maybe there are different circumstances at Universal that a different movie would have been made. I don't know. But,
right. I mean, I don't think that, at the end of the day, he wrote the movie. Right,
sure.
You know, Warner Brothers just released it, right. and I think Chris was the one who wanted it out, wasn't he? Wasn't he? He was the one kind of pushing for it. But I also think that I don't know how many people maybe didn't respond to it because they just watched it at home in their living room.
That's right.
You know, like I saw that movie wearing a raincoat and latex gloves. I mean, we were all so scared to go back to the theater, and I think that does impact. You know, if you see that movie with a crowd and people are getting into it, maybe it's different.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a real good point.
You think it will be received differently?
I mean, I think everyone who wants to see Tenet or loves Christopher Nolan has seen that movie by now, and they're probably, you know, I don't think an IMAX re-release is going to necessarily change their opinion on the movie.
But like you said, it's not about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure that there will be people who have never saw Tenet and are going to see it, you know, for the first time next month in theaters.
Yeah. See, that to me is that's the story. The story is exactly what you just said. The story is Warner Brothers said, "Hey, Nolan wants to re-release Tenet. We're going to do it. We're going to give him all the bells and whistles. We're going to do whatever the hell he wants. It'll help promote Dune. He wants to help out Denis for sure. And then we're going to have a meeting with him. David's going to sit down with him, talk to him. We're going to get his next movie." He's feeling confident. I see that this is probably this is the road.
I mean, when Zaslav came in, he's got a list of priorities. Now, whether they're on it or not, I mean, he's come in, he got Leonardo DiCaprio movie. He's come in, he has signed Tom Cruise. The next is we want to bring back Christopher Nolan and fix that relationship. And the other one is we got to fix Harry Potter. Those are like and Superman, obviously, which he did by hiring James Gunn. So it's like those are the things. We need movie stars. We need to fix Superman, fix Harry Potter, and then we want Chris Nolan back.
And it looks like it is. So there you go, guys. What do you think? You think Christopher Nolan is going to go back to Warner Brothers? How do you like this play by Warner Brothers to re-release Tenet in order to be in the good graces, promote Dune? What say you? Again, you want to read the full story, go to theinsnider.com and check it out. All right, we're going to talk about some other stories right now. Before I do so, I want to tell you a little bit more about AG1 and Rocket Money. Here you go. All right, guys, let's talk about AG1. You guys know I love AG1. If you've been listening to my show, you've heard me talk about them, and I've been drinking them for about 2 years now, and I love it. Never been a vitamins guy. I've told you that. I take it all one shot, AG1. I put it in a water bottle. I shake it up. I'm good to go. I recommend AG1 to my friends. I recommend AG1 to my family. Everybody. AG1 is a team of doctors and scientists. It is tested for 950 contaminants and NSF certified for sport. It is formulated based on the latest science and maintains high quality standards. You guys know they've been with us for a while because you guys know too. You've all been checking them out, and everybody who's been signing up to AG1 says the same thing. It's changed your energy. It's changed how you approach things in the day. You're smiling more. You're running around the place, and you're sleeping better. I know. AG1 is the supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why they've been a partner for so long. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and you get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. Check it out. Hey, Rocket Money. How much do you guys think that you're paying a month on subscriptions? Yeah, that's what I thought. Most people think they're $80, $82. Yeah, right. You're paying closer to around $200. And that is why I use Rocket Money. What is Rocket Money, Kristian? Thank you for asking. I'm going to tell you, me. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending, and it helps you lower your bills. And it's all in one place. It has over 5 million users and counting. Rocket Money has helped save its customers an average of $720 a year and $1 billion in total savings so far. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way. Go to rocketmoney.com/thing. That's rocketmoney.com/thing. rocketmoney.com/thing. All right, thank you to our friends over at AG1 and Rocket Money. As I mentioned before, when you get one of our wonderful sponsors, you help support the show tremendously. I get DMs from people going, hey, look, I just got this. I used your code. And I always respond with a big thank you because you get something really wonderful with it, and you're also helping out the show. All right, here is the next story. All right, so I'm going to read this from Dark Horizons. Is Netflix ditching the film Mothership? So Warner Bros. Pictures started a disturbing trend with Batgirl, that of films that had already completed filming and are suddenly vaulted for tax purposes with no plans to release them. Several others have followed suit. Most recently, Coyote vs. Acme with the plan that they changed to allow the filmmakers to shop it around. Now, however, a streaming service is getting in on the vaulting trend. It seems the Sneider was reporting that Netflix has scrapped its sci-fi thriller, The Mothership, starring Halle Berry. See, that's the good news too, Jeff. They're now reporting that the Sneider is running, not just your name. That's great. The report indicates that the project completed filming over 2 years ago, but the studio now plans to never release the film. However, the reasoning this time actually has more justification than just a tax write-off. The report indicates that the film would require significant reshoots that weren't only expensive, but also impractical, as many of the other key characters are kids. The young actors have grown up a lot since the film wrapped. In addition, Sneider indicates that there were extensive days in completing post-production, which impacted the decision. All right, so Jeff, break this down a little bit more. What did you hear about this thing, and what was it any good or not really?
Oh, I have no idea about the quality. I mean, we can only speculate.
Right.
We can only speculate.
If it was good, why they would try to move hell out.
Yeah, probably. But I do think that this was partially a victim of the pandemic and partially a victim of the strikes.
Sure.
If they could have done the reshoots that they needed to do on this movie, last spring, maybe it stands a better chance of actually, getting to be completed. But as it stood, there were just so many post-production delays, and it's been 2 years since they wrapped filming or whatever. The kids have shot up. Yeah. Right? I mean, how do you even do reshoots at that point? Right. I did hear that the reshoots, were going to be a little not only expensive, where it's like, why are we putting more money into this than we're comfortable with, but difficult to schedule with Halle's schedule and everything. So I think the decision was just made. It's just simpler to pull the plug and walk away from this. This
one makes way more sense than the Batgirl thing. I mean, I understand the Batgirl thing for sure, but this makes more sense. Do you agree with this, Steph?
Yeah, for sure. This seems like a straight to VOD type movie. Batgirl seems like, that could have been in the theaters.
Yeah, but I also think just because of the fact...
The IP.
Yeah, but I also think just because you have this, like he said, you get to a place you're like, well, what can we if we shoot with a 13-year-old kid when they're supposed to be 8 years old or whatever it is, right? it looks bizarre. And it's like there are times in Harry Potter, the first one, that you can tell that he jumps, but that's only me like looking with binoculars.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it made sense from like a business perspective, and that's the thing. Like even when they threw Batgirl and Scoob in the trash, like I understand from why David Zaslav had to do that. I understand that they're not popular moves, but from a business point of view, I respected it. This one makes even more sense.
Right. Business wise.
But again, the optics are bad. This is an Oscar-winning actress, right? A woman of color,
right?
Another movie
Halle
with
Berry.
right. Another, and here's the other thing: we're all talking about. We can speculate about the movie, and maybe it's a straight to VOD thing. Look at The Mother with Jennifer Lopez,
right.
one of Netflix's biggest movies last year. This could have just been another movie like that, and a lot of people would watch it because Halle Berry's in it. So,
but they didn't want to spend the extra money on the reshoots and stuff.
Right, exactly.
Right. Because what they could have done is they could have just said, all right, well, let's just reshoot the stuff when the kids are too young, and basically have to shoot the whole movie.
Exactly. And so they're like, and what happened, again, look at the timing of everything. Stuber steps down, then they announce Raw the next morning. So it's like they're not trying to, zhuzh up, spend more money on these big budget movies, especially if it's not, they don't think it's going to be a hit.
What do you guys think about that, Steph? Did you hear that Monday Night Raw WWE is now going to be on Netflix?
No.
Yeah. That's like that. Big
deal.
It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
They've been on USA for years, or whatever they're on now. I mean, and then they were on. I know that they haven't moved SmackDown. SmackDown's still on Fox, but they moved Monday Night Raw, which is like their flagship show. And then the other news is that Dwayne Johnson is now like one of the board members of WWE. Now that came out of nowhere. Did you know that was coming?
No, I mean, Roka was geeking out about it yesterday.
sure.
I had to be like, calm down, buddy.
Yeah.
But I mean, they can say all they want to Wall Street and investors that they're not changing the strategy on original movies, but I think it's pretty clear that they're not going to be making a bunch of big giant movies. They're going to try to do, work in that mid-budget space. They have not, when you look at just Stuber, he had 7 years and billions of dollars. They didn't win a Best Picture award. They're not going to this year. And they really have not made a single movie that penetrated the culture.
Right.
I can't name one.
Yeah.
And I looked.
And you looked. But I think that that move, though, by the way, the WWE move to me, I think is a very, very smart move.
Live sports. That's what it's at.
The Mothership one seems like it was legitimate reshoots.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes I feel like people throw out reshoots and it's just it's the most used excuse oftentimes.
Right.
But I will say Netflix original movies, I actually really like a lot of them. Like Extraction and Adam Project and The Old Guard. Those were really, that's the kind of thing that I'm like, oh, this subscription's worth it when they weren't doing, I feel like there was kind of like this dead period for a little bit, but then now they're having like all these new animes. They're making a lot of different business moves.
They have a few like hit shows that you stick around for, or if you're a documentary nut, then that's the
David
perfect place.
Attenborough.
The shows have permeated the culture. 100%. Like the shows have broken through.
Yeah.
But the
Squid
movies
Game.
have not.
No, they tried to do a Maestro, obviously.
Yeah, but that's not like
A lot of
penetrating the
people didn't
culture,
watch
right?
it.
Yeah.
For sure. But I'm just movies. They have movies that hit, but they don't have movies that just like, well, that was a Netflix movie. Like they did. They tried with The Irishman.
Right.
And that didn't really.
I think they're really great streaming movies.
Yeah, they're watchable. They're designed to make watchable entertainment. And what?
Sorry, as I said, Irishman. No one has any information on this movie, and I don't know if you do. Do you know anything about Alto Nights?
I mean, I've heard it has test screen and not well.
Oh, I hate that news. I hate that news.
Yeah.
I hate that news because Roke and I were going over like the movies that are coming out this year, and I was like, "What's that? It's a mafia movie with like it's Sonnenfeld, right? And
Levinson. Yeah.
Levinson. I can always say Sonnenfeld. Levinson. And Levinson is directing Robert De Niro and Catherine Narducci, who were teaming for like Bronx Tale, and
Love her.
Yeah, she's great. Catherine Narducci was also in like The Sopranos and everything else. But I was like, "What's this movie?" And you hear it's not testing well. I hate that.
I mean, that's from Jordan Rumi's sources over at World of Real. I haven't talked to anybody who's seen it, but it's Zaslav's first gamble. And it's just like, of course, like an old guy comes into the studio. He's like, "All right, I get to do whatever I want. Give me a Robert De Niro gangster movie."
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. That time may have come and gone, but we'll see.
You're still gonna get morons like me getting excited about it.
I'm excited too. It's De Niro, especially hot off an Oscar nomination. But it's $75 million. Like,
Yeah. All right. We can shift on. Is there anything? Are you holding this? You sniffing around Marvel, Star Wars? Anything going on?
I'm always. You always gotta keep an eye out for me on some of those franchises, but nothing too big that I can share. Okay. Other than I thought that story about John Boyega starring in the Book of Eli prequel.
Yeah, right.
It's like if he can play a young Denzel, can Denzel play an older John Boyega?
What do you mean?
I mean, if they ever revisit that character down the line and make an older Finn, I mean, I don't know.
That's interesting.
I wonder. Listen,
where's that come from? Is that a guess? Is that a guess?
Yeah, no. Listen, there are no plans right now for the
Denzel.
There's
no
Star Wars?
There's
no movie. There's no movie yet. But
all right.
Who knows? I'll put it this way. I think that Denzel is going to join something big soon. I could see him joining a big universe, whether that's Marvel or DC or Star Wars. I see Denzel making a move. And you know what makes me think that? Again, this is a guy who never did sequels and stuff like that. All of a sudden, he's got an Equalizer trilogy.
I love Equalizer.
He's in Gladiator 2.
Right.
I think he's warming up to, that kind of stuff.
You get to that point, right? Look at Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford's doing everything. I didn't read the story on it, but is Air Force One, the part 2, is that actually a thing? Or do they say, no, it's not going to happen?
Oh, I have not.
I saw some article on it. I don't know if it's, but all I'm saying is Harrison Ford is at this point, he's like, I'll do it all. Fine. What else? Number 5, number 6.
Right.
Who cares? Same. Like Denzel's like, all right, yeah, let's just. So you're thinking.
Well, here's what I've heard. Yeah. It's that Denzel. I don't think, and I think someone said this. I think it was Spike Lee, maybe, who said this. That Denzel is like done directing. He doesn't want to direct.
He doesn't
anymore.
want to direct anymore.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot.
He wants to collect some checks.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So all right, percentage on percentage on Denzel showing up on one of these big franchises.
Okay, I'll go DC 10%.
Okay.
Star Wars 35%.
Okay.
Right? That leaves me with 55%. 55% Marvel.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
So there you go. Look at that. So I think we got 2 scoops here today.
I don't know that this is a scoop. People
are going to report on that one.
Keep an eye on Denzel. He's making moves.
You know that I can already see. I love comic book movie. That's going to be one of the ones that comic book movie goes with.
The thing is, like the movies that Denzel would have done instead of those movies, they're not making them. He's not getting with Mark Wahlberg making like Two Gun, stuff like that anymore.
Right.
So he knows what he's a smart guy.
It's come be the Robert Redford of whatever Marvel movie, I think that's what we're looking at is in the next iteration.
I love that, and I like that coy smile on your face as you say it too. All right. Now this is something I'm sure Sneider had something to do with, or at least knows a lot about. I don't know if he had anything to do with this, but David Fincher and Netflix have extended their deal, and the famed Seven and the Game filmmaker confirmed his contract with Netflix, and it has been re-upped for another 3 years. Fincher revealed the news during an interview with Premiere Magazine. Sorry, Jeff, not this one. It continues a relationship that Fincher began with Netflix that started with the House of Cards remake in 2013 when he produced it and directed 2 episodes of it. Having worked at Fox, Sony, Paramount, Warner's, and Polygram on his past films, 2014's Gone Girl marked the last time he worked outside of the streamer. Since then, he created and produced the series Mindhunter, Love, Death, and Robots, for the streamer, along with the films Mank and last year's The Killer. So why does he keep coming back? Simple. He's got creative control. I don't feel like I'm deviating from my previous approach when working with Netflix. I make them take the same type of risk that I have made others take in the past. Fight Club was a huge risk. People lost their jobs because they agreed to produce this film. Benjamin Button, people at the studio would read the script and go, oh, this movie will be like a big comforting hug. I clarified, yes, a big comforting hug about death. He goes on to explain how the uncompromised and risk-embracing approach from him is what ultimately led to the end of Mindhunter after 2 seasons, and Fincher understands the decision behind it. There's a lot more there, too, but I think that overall this makes a ton of sense. I mean, did you see The Killer, Steph?
No.
There was Fassbender. Did you like The Killer?
I really liked it.
Did you? Okay.
In fact, it was the movie I saw more than any other last year, along with Blackberry.
Is that your favorite comic book movie in the last Well,
I guess I don't think of it like that, but it's one of them.
Yeah.
Sure, I really liked the episodic structure, and Fassbender was great. And
Tilda Swinton was.
Is it scary?
No.
Okay.
It's not scary. It's intense.
I don't mind a thriller.
It's cerebral too. Yeah, but it's a slow burn. but it's.
I love Michael Fassbender. I don't know why I haven't.
I liked it. I didn't love it as much as Jeff, but I liked it.
Yeah,
I
liked
liked
it.
it.
Love it.
Yeah, I do love Reacher, by the way.
I haven't
Talk Reacher
heard
in a
anyone
second.
say I hate it or don't like it.
No,
So.
it's good. It's Fincher. It's
Right,
Fincher. So
right.
if you're Netflix, as we were just talking about, no brainer. Of course you get Fincher. If you're Fincher, seems like no brainer. You do because of exactly what? Is this a surprise to you at all that he would re-up that deal?
No, not at all. I mean, the reason that he's there is because they leave him alone. Right. And that's why when they're like, okay, David, we can't keep doing Mindhunter at this number.
Yeah.
And David's like, well, listen, this is the number. Either, want to do it at this number or we don't do it. And that's fine, and he's comfortable walking away. I like that he doesn't compromise. He's not going to change the show.
No, but he also doesn't take it personally and walk away from Netflix.
Right. He understands it's a business.
Right.
He's not trying to lose more money and cost more people their jobs. He's been through that.
Right.
But that's sometimes what it takes to make a great piece of art. I think he really likes working there. He likes being able to do film and television. And I think that he's working on some innovative stuff. I mean, I heard rumors about something. I don't want to say the title. This would be a betrayal of confidence. But like the show would have footnotes. Like what show has footnotes? Like, but Netflix can do that because it's interactive and stuff like that. Right. And I still think that I still quietly hear that he is quietly developing a Squid Game remake for Netflix.
Really? Okay.
He has not talked about it, and I don't think anybody has asked him about it. I don't understand why, but I hear that's very real.
That's pretty awesome to see him potentially do that. But is that one of those things where we heard so many different times that there's going to be like a Raid remake, and that never happened? And like those types of things, like, a lot of different people say, well, I mean, he wants to do it though, but then that season 2 coming out of that show.
Right.
I think you got to wait for season 2 to come out, and we'll see if there's going to be a season 3, or maybe season 2 is the end of Squid Game. I don't know, but I think that Netflix realizes this would probably be even bigger if it had stars in it. Not that I think there would be stars even in Squid Game. He may go with an unknown. I mean, that may be the only way you can do Squid Game, kind of. But
well, this goes back to what we were talking about before with Nolan, right? So you were like, I don't know if they really do these deals. I mean, he's got this Netflix locked Fincher down for a deal now too. Does that mean he can't go anywhere? Because talk about somebody who would be interesting. I know for a long time he'd been rumored to do a bunch of different big movies, but like he's probably just going to be content doing Netflix movies forever.
Yeah, I don't know that I see. I mean, I think that he could. I imagine that Netflix, that deal like has a carve out or whatever, where if he gets an offer, he can't refuse. But I think he's probably pretty comfortable there for right now.
I will throw back to a Star Wars question for you because we do Star Wars a lot here too. Are you hearing anything about the release of when Acolyte might come out?
No.
Because that is something that when do you think that's coming out, Steph?
I think next year.
No, it's supposed to come out this year.
Oh, yeah, the end of this year.
Okay. You say
keep forgetting we're in 2024.
Right.
I have
too.
not adjusted to that. I think winter or early January 2025.
Okay, so you don't think it's going to make 2024? Okay,
It might.
Get pushed?
Yeah, I just think because of the strikes and everything that it might be, but I think it will. There's a good chance that it's fall winter 2024.
There's some merit to the fact that you've heard nothing about it except they showed that one thing. They showed that one trailer at Celebration in London,
And they haven't released it.
nothing. And there's been tons of reshoots, rumors. There's this rumor that Keanu Reeves is in it. Do you hear anything about that?
No.
So there's rumors that Keanu Reeves is in it, that it costs almost $200 million. Now, what I would say is, because it's all real locations, it's more shot in the way that Andor was.
But that's like an acceptable price. I mean, I don't know how many episodes it would be, but if it's a 10-episode show and then every episode costs $20 million, that's where we are.
Sure, and especially if it's on location and it's a good story, then if you spend the money and you can see the money, I'm all for it as well too if it's quality.
Right.
It's just
you can spend $200 million on a Star Wars Acolyte show. You can't spend $200 million, all due respect to Sofia Coppola, on an Edith Wharton adaptation at Apple.
Right, because right.
Apple is hitting though lately. It's like one of my favorite streaming services.
It's great. It is
super so great. The shows are so great. I just started watching The Foundation.
Okay.
It's a little confusing at first, but it gets really good. I love the effects.
I can't wait for Masters of the Air. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
I cannot wait for
It was
that show.
$200 million, the Coppola show.
Yeah. custom of the country, and it's
lot.
like
That's
to
a
give
lot.
to give Sofia Coppola. Yeah,
No, but that's a lot of the. There's an overspending problem in
The
Hollywood.
pitch sounded great, though. I will say that, but I didn't know the price.
I mean it's a big book, and
Yeah.
you know she supposedly had Florence Pugh, but I also understand Apple's reluctance, where it's like this doesn't make sense. This doesn't fly these days.
No, and-
all the budgets, everyone is going to be tightening their belts.
Right.
They
Everybody.
should be. I think that the consumer is going to benefit from that.
Right.
Yes.
I think the consumer will benefit from this whole idea and this whole notion of spend more money because we got to hit that $1 billion budget. I mean, $1 billion prize, the bullseye. I think it's lunacy.
Yeah.
I want to say, I've been talking about this a lot. I want to see them if they're going to make another Terminator movie, I want to see them go back to the 1984 horror thriller, make it like an A24 thing. Make it like that kind of feel. Like that can you imagine they made a Star Wars movie for a movie for like $120 million?
I think that's the future. I think
hope
that's
that's
all these franchises. That's the next
hope.
pivot. Whether it's Fast and Furious, which
Right.
cannot keep making $340 million movies.
No, but they said $200 million
Right.
like it was a big deal.
Yeah.
We're going down to basics. We're going to $200 million. It's still $200 million.
I'm shooting it on my iPhone.
Right, but for that movie, I mean, that is a huge drop from the last one.
370. Yeah.
The one that I do think is going to go small and could really benefit from going small is Jurassic.
I was going to ask you.
Please.
Do you think that's doable? You think they'll do?
I think that there's like two routes to go, which is like, and Roca or somebody threw this out yesterday. It was like, well, David Koepp's writing the script. Did David Koepp, who wrote the original, is he only coming back because Steven was like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I'll direct this new Jurassic Park movie? Because I don't think Bullitt is next for Steven.
Okay.
And he's still looking for what his next movie will be. So it's either we're going to go big and Steven's coming back, or we go small and we give it to a Colin Trevorrow type of person, whether guy or girl, but we don't give him a $200 million. You don't need a $200 million thing.
It's small.
Right, and just do something a little bit more interesting with it, and don't try to make $1 billion. Obviously, that would be great.
Right.
But that's what happens when you make an Indiana Jones for $300 million and it makes 500 or 400, and you go, what happened?
Right.
You spent $300 million on it.
Right.
Fast and Furious made $700 million worldwide, and it lost money because it cost $370 million to make.
Yes.
Like that's the kind of stuff. It's like stop that. Like
Right.
just bring it down.
Go back to the core concept of these franchises, and focus on characters. That's why we love Jurassic Park. I mean, I love seeing dinosaurs too, but like we're there for the characters.
Yes.
Godzilla -1.
Yes.
Godzilla -1 was all about the characters, and when Godzilla showed up, they earned it. And that's the type of. Is there any world that this guy does? Because apparently he met with Filoni. You think that's going to happen? The director of Godzilla -1.
Oh, I have no idea. I could see them working. Listen, I think that there's a lot of interesting directors who have flirted with Star Wars over the years,
Right.
and in television as well. I mean, I heard about.
Can you give me one crazy one that you're allowed to give?
I can't. I'll be in so much trouble.
You'll be in trouble. Okay.
But yeah, there was one director. Okay, I won't name her. There was a female director.
Yes.
A big female director who was nearly directed like a couple episodes of Andor.
Oh, okay.
But that didn't end up happening. But the point is that I do think I don't know about his Filoni meeting, but that guy is going to be hot. The Godzilla director.
So, yeah.
I thought he could be a good fit for Jurassic if they do go a little bit smaller.
If he loves it, I want him to love it. I don't want him to just take a job. I don't want because that's happened before where they get the director that well he loved Godzilla -1.
Right.
You could tell he loved it, and I loved it because he loved it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the history of Japan and World War II.
Yes.
All of that played into it. I have to ask you, though, did you watch the Shogun trailer?
No, is it amazing?
It's amazing.
I should watch it.
I think it's so up your alley.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah, the FX series.
Yeah.
But with Jurassic, again, I talked about this yesterday on Hot Mic, but it's like you have Adam Driver doing that dinosaur movie, 65.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You have right now David Robert Mitchell is supposed to start shooting in March Flowervale Street for Warner Brothers, which is with Anne Hathaway and Oscar Isaac, a dinosaur movie.
Okay.
If you're Universal, aren't you looking at this like dinosaurs are us? We
Right.
do dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Why are we letting other studios do this? And that's why maybe they made this announcement or why they're fast tracking this movie. I mean, the report said it could be out by next year.
Wow.
It said they want to have it in theaters by 2025.
Damn.
That would suggest a smaller budget.
Yeah.
And is that because the next chapter of Fast won't be ready? You know, like
right.
they need some sort of big franchise tentpole anchor or whatever. I don't know.
What I do know is we got a lot here today. We got a lot. We got the Ed Nolan thing was big, man. So what do you think? I'm asking you guys again. Do you think that Nolan is going back to Warner Brothers? Who do you think that female director was? That's interesting. Well, I'm going to start guessing on that one. There's a lot of different news in there. I love the idea. Where's Denzel going to go? Is he going to go to, if he does one of these movies, is he going to go to Marvel? Is he going to go to Star Wars? Is he going to go to DC? Or is he going to do Equalizer 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10? I know he's doing stuff with Fuqua again, too. So that's interesting. But Oscar stuff, all that stuff and more. We got a lot that we talked about. I want to thank my guests here today, starting with Jeff, the Sneider. Where can they find you again? Tell them.
TheInsnider.com, guys. And again, it's independent journalism. It's the future. That movie, The Mothership, okay? MRC produced it. Not surprised the trades didn't report on it. MRC is basically PMC. I mean, practically. I mean, they owned the Hollywood Reporter for a while anyways, but so it's just like you need me on that wall. You may not like me. I don't care if you like me.
Right.
But you need me on that wall because otherwise you're just going to get the same safe, boring coverage that everybody else does. So thank you for subscribing. And if you can't afford it, reach out to me. I'm open to cutting a deal, you know, if you got a good reason or whatever. I just want you guys to check it out.
What is it? What's the price point for it right now?
It's a little pricey. I would love to be able to bring the price down for everybody, but I need more subscribers, right? So right now it's $9.99 a month or $99 a year. Or if you don't want to subscribe, you can buy a single story like this Nolan story.
Yeah.
If you just want to read that in print, $1. I'm going to post the link on buymeacoffee.com.
So it's essentially kind of what like New York Post or New York Times or those places do. Like when you go and sometimes you're reading that article and it goes, oh, to read this story, click the button.
Yeah, listen, I get how annoying a paywall is. I had to write behind a paywall at Variety for a while. Like it sucks, but as an independent, right? It's this is what I got. You know, I cannot operate a YouTube channel as great as Kristian does. Like I can't compete with guys like Kristian or John Campia. Like you guys are fantastic and you're leading the way. This is something where I'm fantastic at and I can lead the way because I'm a good writer with good sources. And if the trades won't hire me and won't have me, then you know what? Joke's on them because now they got to compete with me.
That's right. I do think that you can combine that what you do well with the YouTube stuff.
Just a one shot.
Yeah, you literally could just if you made
I'll figure it out.
If you made 5 or 6 minute videos with your phone, if you have a good enough phone and you got yourself a microphone, I mean, TikTok influencers do freaking.
I'd love to see you on TikTok.
Yeah, but
I am on TikTok. I have been putting the scoops out there, but it's really just like go subscribe to my newsletter.
Right, but if you do something like if you start to do things like little 5-minute videos and start making a channel and you get used to the rhythm of it, you don't have to do all this.
I would love that. I would love to come home from a screening and say, you know what, I'm going to hop on YouTube and talk about the movie that I just saw, which I'm not, under embargo on because I'm invited to the very last all media screening or whatever. And then you make money that night and go to bed and being like, I just made $150 or whatever in Streamlabs answering questions for a half hour. I would love to be able to do that.
You just got to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Steph, where can the good people find you?
At Steph Sabra or the World Girls.
That's today, right? World
Yeah,
Girls? Okay.
tonight.
World Girls tonight, Wednesday nights. Make sure you check that out, the World Girls. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Like I said, if you haven't done that already, hit that button, that subscribe button. We're getting close right now. We are, as this taping goes, we are currently at 120,750. We are almost at 121. But we need you guys to be part of it. Maybe we can get Jeff back on the show, break something else soon. So thanks for joining us. Make sure you check out The Hot Mic with Jeff Sneider and John Roca. They break stuff all the time over there. It's a great show, great podcast.
So glad you said that because Roca would kill me if I did not play that.
I love that show. I tell John that I love. I think it's John. No offense to Geek Buddies, which is a show I also like, but I think The Hot Mic's the best show he's ever done. So make sure you check that show out. It's every Thursday, right?
Yes, and Tuesdays now. We're trying to do a second episode that we're gonna put behind a Patreon, but whatever.
That's fun.
Okay, so go check it out. It's on Roca's channel, the John Roca channel or Outlaw Nation. I'm not sure if he's changed it or not, but either way, go and check it out. And the Hot Mic is on there every Thursday. Thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate you, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye.